Hello, my name's Greg Egan, and today we're going to talk about 10 signs that you may be in a toxic relationship. So let's start exploring this. And part of this is going to be a mixture of both personal and professional experiences here, having been in a toxic relationship myself. And I like to help people understand what a toxic relationship looks like. But let's just go through it, and you may have your own ideas of what a toxic, or own examples of what is a toxic relationship to you. And if so, please add your thoughts in the comments after this video. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to approach this in a gender neutral type way, mainly because perpetrators of toxicity in a relationship can be of any gender. And so I want to talk about this in more general terms around behaviours and traits. So as we move down, now toxic relationships can be damaging in a variety of ways. They can be psychological, financial, sexual, physical, and they can have either short-term impacts on you or long-term impacts on you. And they can sometimes be quite difficult to leave once you're in one. And you may take many attempts before you actually leave them. It's not saying that you can't fix a toxic relationship, because there may be dynamics of it that you can fix. But overall, you need to know what some of these signs are so you can understand whether you actually are in a healthy relationship or not that is good for you as an individual. So, and one of the other dynamics here I'd like to look at is that the general overall definition of what I think a toxic relationship is that it's any relationship where your partner goes through patterns of being nasty and abusive to you in various forms, whether it's attacking the person you are, being generally poisonous in nature towards you, making you feel isolated, creating fear and insecurity within you, and making you generally second guess yourself. And yes, a lot of these signs I'm pointing out are what we also call domestic violence. And to a large extent, they're one and the same. Though in a toxic relationship, things don't always cross that line of what may be criminality. But it's also good to know what some of the laws are in your own country when I'm talking about some of these issues, or your own state for that matter. And so let's break down some of these sorts of signs as I move into them. The first sign I would like to look at is that generally your partner does not support you, and does not support you or generally ignores the person you are. Your partner does not support your goals, dreams, whether they be career-wise or life goals, whereas a healthy relationship would be based on supporting and growing together. Your needs overall are generally neglected or ignored, and everything tends to be more about meeting your partner's needs. That could be one sign that you're in a toxic relationship. So let's look at some practical examples around that. As I said, you may have certain career goals, you may have certain career dreams, but what you tend to find happens is that every time you get excited about a particular career path, you might find your partner putting you down and not supporting you in this pathway. You might find that everything is about meeting their career needs, everything about meeting their career goals, but yours get totally neglected and pushed aside on an ongoing basis. And you may even start to lack confidence in your ability to succeed career-wise because of this, because your partner may be putting you down in various forms. You may find that simple things, even like being on holidays, could be all about them. Like you could go away on a trip and you might want to see all these beautiful things in the area you're going, but your partner is going, no, I want to see this, no, I want to see this, and not actually making time for you to see the things that you want. So there's another example of that dynamic. You may find that all your hobbies, interests that you normally do to relax get dismissed as a waste of time. Get pushed away and saying, no, don't worry about that, you need to do this for me, it's all about me, sort of thing in the relationship. You might find yourself having to constantly focusing on meeting your partner's needs and having to sacrifice a lot of your own needs just to meet your partner's needs. Where in a healthy relationship, it's about supporting each other's needs, each other's dreams and goals. A next sort of topic I want to look at is jealousy in a relationship. Yes, jealousy is going to be there regardless, but there's a difference between mild jealousy and more toxic type jealousy. So let's look at that a little bit with some examples. Jealousy can be about the way your partner reacts to you when you interact with other people, generally in the community. It could be about the way you interact with your friends, with your family. It could be about having contact with friends, family, even children from previous relationships. And you could be just, and we'll go through and look at some examples here. And it could also be about the partner going to extremes, manipulating you to stop you seeing these people because of their jealousy. So first example, let's, within this jealousy sort of thing, if you had children from a previous relationship, for example, and your current partner may show extreme jealousy around this because you have love and affection for that child, because naturally they're your child. But instead, your partner stops you from seeing them through various psychological barriers or physical barriers which they create to make sure that your time with them is reduced more and more and more over a period of time. They may even use jealousy or openly tell lies about things they've seen or observed to stop you going to see your children from a previous partner. They also may use, in the form of psychological manipulation, they may say, yes, you can go see your child. I'm not stopping you from seeing your child. But if you do, I may not love you as much. That's manipulation, if they're saying those sorts of things to you. If your partner restricts you or creates barriers for you for seeing family or friends or actually having a social life outside of the relationship, and generally socially isolating you from everywhere else, that could be a sign. They may become overly psychologically abusive when showing their jealousy, like scream at you when you're having conversation with what might be a reasonably innocent conversation. Example, you could be out on holidays together. You're checking into a hotel. The person behind the counter may be attractive, or they may smile at you the wrong way, or they may just be smiling because they're professional in interacting with you, and you smile and talk back. But what happens then? Your partner takes it as, oh, you want to date them, or you want to be with them, and starts attacking you openly. These are examples of extreme sort of jealousy going on, which I've just sort of mentioned here. And going on to the next sort of topic. So in that jealousy side of things, if you find that your partner is always jealous of everything you do, the people you interact with, the hobbies you have, there could be signs there of toxicity within the relationship. Now, let's look at the next thing outside of jealousy, controlling behaviours. So number 3 sign you're in a toxic relationship, if your partner is exhibiting controlling behaviours. Controlling behaviours may take many forms, whether controlling where you go, who you interact with, what activities you get involved with, the way your money is being spent, to what goals and dreams you are allowed to follow and not follow, how you dress in public, how you interact with people at certain social events, or using psychological abuse to manipulate and control you. So any controlling behaviour to these sorts of extremes may be a sign that you're actually in a toxic relationship. Now I'm going to pull out some examples of this. For example, your partner may say to you that you have to, or you may find yourself having to tell your partner where you are at all times of the day and night, and not allowed to go anywhere without their permission, or if allowed out, may be given strict time frames on when to return. And they may even want you to put tracking software on your phone to show where you are. Another example is you may be at work, but constantly throughout the days you're getting text messages, you're getting emails, and if you don't respond to them straight away, they start to escalate in nature. And this can happen anywhere. You could be out on a social thing. It's not just work. And then if you don't respond, you suddenly start to get accusations, whether when you get home or even through the texts, that what are you up to? Where are you? Are you really at work? What are you doing? Etc. etc. So that could be a sign. Another example that you may be in a toxic relationship. You find yourself late getting home. Suddenly find calls and text messages escalating from your partner where you are, frequent in nature, causing you to have anxiety if you don't stick to a strict routine. Again, as previously stated, part of these controlling behaviours can include your partner creating barriers, whether physical or psychological, to prevent you maintaining contact to people important to you, whether children, family, friends, or other social connections. When it comes to money, they may make you put all your money into a joint bank account so they can monitor every cent you spend. But they have all their money in a separate bank account where you can't see what they spend or what they do. And if you spend anything or purchase anything, you have to explain what you're doing. That sort of financial control is another sign you may be in a toxic relationship. You may be told to dress or speak or interact in certain ways when out in public. Another example is, and this was quite a psychologically manipulating example, which I can pull out here, on these sorts of controlling behaviours, where psychological manipulation is used. For example, a woman told a guy that she had received several anonymous threats to actually kill and kidnap their son if they tried to see their child from a previous relationship. And they even put on the tears, got really emotional, making it look like it actually really happened. And so this created a dilemma for the individual. It's kind of like, well, I've got this dilemma here going on. If I see my daughter, then my son could be at risk. So there's this whole dynamic created. They'd even said, I've gone to the police, they've gone through my phone, they can't track where this call's come from, and so I've made a police report. And so the guy said, okay, that's fine. They went to the police at a later date. They tried to confirm whether this happened or not, and they found out that it had never actually been reported. Nothing had been reported. And then later the individual then denied they had actually ever went to the police, denied they had actually ever made a report. And so there was that was just pure manipulation on their part, trying to stop them from seeing their child from a previous relationship. Another form of manipulation could be using the silent treatment. Now, it's one thing to be angry when you're in a relationship and 15 minutes or so not talk to each other, but what I'm talking about is where the silence treatment is used to an extreme, where the person may not talk to you for a week or two, and they continue with this silent treatment until you apologise for something that you may not have actually done. They're controlling you in the sense that they want you to behave or talk or do something in a certain way, and when you don't, they just don't talk to you until you come back and go, oh yes, I will do it now, I'll do whatever you say, and you apologise to them, but really you've done nothing wrong. So when you reflect upon it, you go, actually, I didn't do anything wrong, but just to get them to talk to me, I'm going to apologise. Because it's all a manipulation game here. Number 4, loss of social connections. As previously mentioned, you may find that over time, all your sort of family connections, your friendship connections, your work connections, your general social life is cut off from you. You may find yourself becoming psychologically isolated in a toxic relationship because all your focus and all your time has to be on them. And they may create various psychological and physical boundaries to stop you actually seeing all these various people in your social life that were once very important to you. And they may even create dynamics, again, making up false claims that people sent things. And I should The next sort of thing I want to look at is losing yourself. You start to just lose that sense of self, lose who you are. You get into this routine with your partner where they're so controlling, they're so abusive that you try to fit into their mould, the mould that they're trying to create you in. You try to fit into their box to try and reduce the sort of conflict within the relationship. You may find yourself stopping to do things you actually enjoy, such as sports, hobbies, activities, give up your free time, just to focus on making your partner happy and reducing conflict. You may find yourself sacrificing your dreams, your goals, to make your partner happy due to the pressure from them, whether direct or indirect. You may find yourself losing your general sense of identity, sacrificing beliefs, whether religious or ethical, just to make your partner happy. You may be forced to convert to a religion that you don't believe in, just to make your partner happy. You may find yourself starting to doubt yourself, doubt who you are, and doubt your general belief in yourself. This is all about losing lack of self, losing your identity. Number 6, you always find yourself hoping that they will change. And you might stay in the relationship because you see the potential in your partner, or think that if you just change yourself, and it could be more about changing yourself. If I change myself, everything will be good and they'll change as well. If you're hoping the person will change and you're just staying in that relationship for this change to occur, then don't. Because people only change if they actually want to change. It's the same as individuals. We try to self-reflect, we try to grow. But a person who's a perpetrator in a toxic relationship, they don't see they need to change. They don't see there's any issue. All the issue is you. You're the one that needs to change. And they will put all this pressure on you, saying you're the one that needs to change. If you want this relationship to work, you're the one that needs to change. And that's fine if you need to change and evolve, that's great. But because it's a toxic dynamic, they don't see there is any problems in themselves. They don't identify the problems in themselves. Also, if you find that on a constant basis, like just say you enter the relationship, you've got certain personality traits, you've got certain things that you like to do, and the way you interact with the people and all that. But then once you enter this relationship, the person will say, you have to dress this way, you have to look this way, you have to get into this body shape, you have to study this thing, work in this field, work between these hours. Like everything is about forcing, you have to believe in this religion, you have to come to these religious ceremonies with you. Everything is about forcing the change on you. It's fine if you want to change with the relationship and evolve with it. But in toxic relationships, it's more about you will change or I'm going to leave you. You will do this or I'm going to leave you. There'll be that sort of dynamic in a toxic relationship. Number 7, you may be under a constant state of stress in the relationship. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells in this relationship. If you're constantly finding that you have to be careful what you say or what you do, or how you dress, or how you behave in different situations due to the fear of possible repercussions from your partner, then you may be in a toxic relationship. For example, you are scared or worried to show an opinion on something due to fear of being criticised or put down or even attacked. And as a result, you resort to just agreeing to everything your partner says. You just start being silent. You will start avoiding any sort of topic that may be slightly complex because you don't want to upset the status quo because the fear of the repercussions from it. And also you're in that constant state of stress in the relationship. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what sort of mood your partner's going to be in that day. There's that constant state of anxiety, stress, even depression. And some of this stuff can then lead to other mental health symptoms. Communications with your partner are generally negative. Like, there's a lack of treating you with empathy. There's a lack of empathy and kindness in the relationships. Most of the conversations are filled with sarcasm or attacking you in some form or another. There could be overt hostility. You may even start avoiding your partner. If you're finding this, then you may be in a toxic relationship. Number 9, dishonesty. And yes, in a toxic relationship, people tend to be less honest in the relationship. Like, you may, for example, as a victim in a toxic relationship, you may find yourself constantly making up lies on your whereabouts so you can meet up with important people, like your child from a previous relationship, like your parents, like your best friends, because you're in fear of repercussions of your partner who's banned you seeing all these people just because it doesn't meet their needs. But to you, for your own psychological well-being, they are still important aspects of your life. And so if you're having to lie to do simple things like that, then you're in a toxic relationship. And if you find yourself hiding things out of fear of what might happen to you, then something is potentially wrong in your relationship, because things should be about truth, honesty, connection. You don't want to be fake in a relationship. You want to be real in it. And also you might find, from the perpetrator's perspective in the toxic relationship, they are constantly lying. They are constantly making up stories. And it's all with the goal of manipulating you and controlling you to meet their needs. And you start to second guess what is truth and what is lies as a result of that. Number 10, gaslighting. Your partner uses gaslighting as a form of emotional abuse. And gaslighting is often seen in abusive relationships. It's the act of manipulating a person by forcing them to question their thoughts, their memories, and events occurring around them. Gaslighting, whether intentional or not, is a form of manipulation. And I want to do more videos on gaslighting specifically, because it is a very manipulative form of abuse. Now, in summary, these are just some of the examples that you could be in a toxic relationship. If you are finding it hard to escape a toxic relationship or feel you are unsafe, I would encourage you to contact counselling support lines, or even the police if you're seeking advice to whether some sort of criminal offence has been committed. And if you like this video or my thoughts in this video, please hit like. And if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on these various topics or other things I talk about on this channel, then please hit subscribe for new updates. And if you do have any comments at all on toxic relationships, and also your examples or what you've actually done to get out of them, then please leave your comments below to help other people identify whether they're in a toxic relationship. Okay, thank you for listening today.